75 homes your first year in real estate. Let's start there. How did you achieve that? This is just door knocking, and what strategy?
I asked myself, what qualities do I need to get that job? And so I literally, just like Steve Jobs, went and sat in on college courses and learned about listening and presenting and classroom management, took all those skills, read all the books, and then I went and got the job. Same thing when I got into door-to-door sales. It was like, I didn't sell anything for 45 days. I was so bad at it. And I was like, okay, well, let's just do that again. I need teachers, professors, coaches, books. And so I put gas on that. And then all of a sudden I became top 1% nationwide in door-to-door sales.
What's going down? Welcome to an episode of Real Estate vs. Technology Unleashed, when anything can happen and anything is possible here on our show. We want to pour into you and help you with today's guest so you can be able to have more success. Who knows, potentially marketing to sellers and doing some door knocking. We'll see here in a second. Big thank you to Liftoff Agent for sponsoring the show. Big shout out to our team and staff there for doing all the editing and the production to get the show live. A big shout out to the one and only Jen. What's going on, Jen? Thanks so much for putting together today's episode. How are you doing today?
It's everyone's favorite. It's me. I'm doing great. It's a Wednesday.
And we're still alive. The whole Arizona kaboom thing they're talking about on the news.
It's haboom.
Yeah, it's like, are they alive? What's going on? The storm. Holy cow. Just a dust storm. We're all good. So, Jen, who do we have today for our special episode of Real Estate vs. Technology?
Yes, this one I'm actually really excited for, because for all you real estate agents out there, if you ever need help, don't be afraid to message people. Connect with them, like their stuff, message them, because it actually does work. And there's a lot of people that do want to give back and they do want to pour into you. So today we actually have the one and only Jeremy Davis, who is amazing for sure. Like 15 years of door knocking, helps realtors really focus and zone into their business. Super street smart, but also like a forward thinker. It's really cool. There's like a really cool blend between it. And I actually found him because he is coaching a couple of realtors here in town, Paige and Kara. And that's how I found him. And I was like, oh, I kind of like him. It's like, let me see what he's about. And then I was like, he'll be perfect for the podcast. So yeah, then I just messaged him.
Let's go. Welcome, Jeremy, to the show.
I've never been introed that way. I love it. That actually might be my new favorite intro.
Aw, Jen's crushing it.
Also, he has a brand new kid and he's super cute.
Aww.
Oh my God.
Number 4?
Number 4, rule of thumb, if you're trying to grow your Instagram, have a baby, post about the baby, your views will go through the roof.
Ooh.
Secret. Trick of the trade.
I like that. Now, I was just talking to Jen before we got on air too. I like the fact that you go out, boots on the ground, and do the door knocking, and then you maximize the opportunity of filming content. It was hilarious. One of the videos that stuck out for me was the angry person at the door with a golf club. And you're like riding the scooter talking about your thing, and then the guys behind you like coming at you with the golf club. I think that's super smart and a great way just to maximize opportunities, because you're already out doing your thing. So let's get some content. Like, let's show this in practical real life action. So that was super fun.
Yeah. What's crazy is I used to not be a social media guy. Like 2 years ago, my whole real estate career, sales career, 12 years nationwide, not any of it. My religious profession, none of it on social media. So it's this new concept this last year and a half to, I'm already doing the work. Let me just film it at the same time and then create content. So it's been fun to merge the two.
I love that. I want to start off the show for our first segment is I want to get into the home sales, because, one thing that sticks out for me for your coaching, and if you need a coach by the end of the episode, you're going to know if Jeremy's your guy or not. I like how you give them the skills, you give them the stats, you go deep into the practical, tactical action items they need to navigate conversations and to come in with the ammunition, if you will, to have the, I would say, confidence, if you will, to be able to really deliver and show the expertise. And, everyone wants to go ahead and check the guy out on Instagram. Links are down below. But what stuck out for me is 75 homes your first year in real estate. Let's start there. How did you achieve that? And what, this is just door knocking, and what strategy?
Yeah, so I would probably even go, if it's okay, a little bit further back. So
let's go.
When I wanted to be a religious professor, I asked myself, what qualities do I need to get that job. And so I literally, just like Steve Jobs, went and sat in on college courses and learned about listening and presenting and classroom management. And so then I took all those skills, read all the books, and then I went, got the job. Same thing when I got into door-to-door sales. It was like, I didn't sell anything for 45 days. I was so bad at it. And I was like, okay, well, let's just do that again. I need teachers, professors, coaches, books. And so I put gas on that. I fell in love with Grant Cardone, Brian Tracy, Zig Ziglar, all those guys. And I read 4, 5, 6 books a week. And I was 2xing the speed and just blasting through it. And then all of a sudden I became top 1% nationwide in door-to-door sales. And it took off. So then when I got into real estate, I didn't own any real estate. I didn't know anything about real estate. And I had just relocated to a market where I had no database, nothing. So for me, it was just a repeated pattern of, okay, who do I need to go shadow? What mentors do I need? And what are they doing? And then I can replicate that with work ethic. And so I found a bunch of realtors that were selling 100 plus homes a year. They all role played twice a day. They all read 1 book a week. They all had 3 coaches, Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry, Steve Powers, all those guys. So I was like, okay, I can copy and paste that. And so I did. I copy and pasted it. I was in the office at 7:30, role playing with myself, realtors nationwide. I got on a couple group calls to role play. And then I wasn't home until 10:30 at night. My latest listing I've ever signed was at 11:15 at night. It was a doctor that the neighbors told me they wanted to sell, but no one could ever catch him because he was never home. So I just kept knocking and kept knocking and kept knocking. And finally he came home, knocked on his door, got in, signed it, put it on the market 4 days later, sold, I don't know, I think it was like a week later. So anyways, it was like this repeated behavior of, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me figure out what the best are doing. Let me repeat that. And then I'll just grind. And so I had 7 under contract my first month, 25 my first 6 months, 75 the first year, and it just kept growing.
Wow, that's amazing. I think the things that sticks out for me as well is that you ask the questions that some may not ask or even know that they need to be asking in order to have
Great
the
point.
success that you had, to then be able to say, here you go. Here's a white glove, a red carpet VIP experience. I'm going to hand it to you. I'm going to hand it to you straight, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I learned. What would you say in that segment of hitting, serving that many families and going down that process? And I love that, faith is a big thing for you. What would you say would be the common denominator that just kept it coming over and over and over again? If you can pinpoint one thing that was maybe like a secret sauce.
Yeah, I would say when I first met with my broker, and I love the guy, we're still good friends. I remember sitting there and coming from high production and alarms, sitting there and him telling me that I'd be okay if I sold 1 home the next 12 months. I was like, that does not sit okay with me. Like, well, who's got the record? Who's done the most homes their first year? I need to chase that. And so I forgot about the commission. I forgot about the numbers, and I was just chasing. I know I have 1 year to build my resume as a rookie. Let me go. I don't know what that'll turn into, what doors myself or God will open, but I know that they won't open if I don't have the resume. So let me just go push as hard as I can for 12 months. Then I had 3 under contract really fast. I was like, I wonder if I could do 5. Well, who would buy a home right now? And then I would go talk to lenders and title work, like who's buying homes, who should I talk to? And then I got 5 under contract and then 7 under contract. And it was more so this idea of I wasn't just trying to pay the bills. I wasn't trying to just do what everybody else was doing. I wanted to go chase and figure out where I could take it.
Wow. Congratulations, man. That's awesome. I don't know if you hear it. You hear that on your side? You hear a little bit? All right. Normally we have an in-person podcast studio in here, and so I have 2 spots over here, and we could use this cool fancy mix board to be able to do like the wah 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 and different things. But hey, we're trying to make it work on the digital side as well. And maybe, who knows, come into Arizona, we'll get you on the in-person podcast studio. Jen helped us. Let's go. She helps us produce the show as well. We can get you here. It's our personal residence studio. And right now we have a cat. Julius is in the hot seat, but he's taking a nap. No, man, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thanks.
That's huge. And I love the fact that you said, no, I'm not okay with that. And for anyone who's viewing and listening, if you have a mentor or coach who's saying, hey, just go after just one in the next 12 months, go after the big fish. See who's really out there crushing it and doing what maybe you could be doing, and then do better. I mean, I love the fact that you read the books, you took the practical actions, you saw what was already laid out, and you made it you.
Yeah. I had a mentor, Jeff Mendez. He's a great friend of mine, great mentor from the door-to-door space, and he's got his own podcast and social media content. Anyways, he used to always preach bigger the why, easier the how. If you're struggling on the how, then it's a why issue. Like if I tell you, hey, there's a burning building, I want you to run through it, you're going to logistically run through the how. But then if I switch the story to, hey, your family is in the top right bedroom, ambulance isn't going to make it, fire department's not going to make it, and then boom, it's like before I even finish explaining it, I'm in the burning building chasing for my family. So for me, it's always like, if it's really a how issue, if it's schedule, if it's procedures, it's like your why isn't big enough. If we fix that, you'll run through it. And so for me, that's kind of how it was the first couple of years. It was like, I just need to go build my resume so that when doors open, I'll be ready. And that was the why that I was chasing, nothing else. There were some months I had tens of thousands of, even I hit $100,000 a month. And it was like, I didn't care about it. The money went in the account and I just kept going because it was something different I was chasing.
Dude, very well said. I think it's the first time I've ever received what you just said from the perspective of the how and the why. And I feel like that if a big enough why, the how doesn't matter. It's almost like if you listen, intuition, universe, God, whatever you believe, the answers will come, and I love the fact that it's not about the money, man. It's like, okay, cool, the money's there or whatever, but like, let's keep going. And I can imagine too, when the dust settles and, you look back and you look at your account and you're like, okay, cool. How else do I want to serve? How do I want to donate? What do I want to do in my community? Like you didn't, right. And now 4 kids later, right, you're going to have tuitions and college.
Yep, exactly.
And all that stuff taken care of. That's amazing.
Yeah. I know like one thing that comes up for me that I really, really like is like you just have that servant heart. Like you just want to give back all the time. Like the money doesn't matter. I literally probably like, I know you're way longer in your career than I am. I still call myself a very beginner. Is that like I actually see myself in you. And I see the potential that I can do because like I literally approach teaching that way as well too, where I'm like, oh yeah, teaching pay kind of sucks, but let me see how many lives can I change. Like let me see how many kids' mindset can I change. And it's like it's almost like a confirmation for me. It's like, hey, look, you can do the same thing in real estate and in this market as well too. And I'm like, this is awesome. Like it makes me happy right now.
Yeah. 100%. And to be honest, like that comes from my dad. Like my dad, my third year in real estate, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer and lost him 9 months later. And I remember afterwards, it was experienced depression for the first time in my life. Mm-hmm. And I remember sitting there thinking, like feeling the producer in me was dying. Like it had died with my dad. And it was weird because the past 15 years, that's who I was. Mm-hmm. So I remember just sitting there feeling like what's going to replace that? Because the trophies and the awards and like that hunger for going and building the resume was what drove me. And now it wasn't. Then I was presented the opportunity to consult 1, 2, 3 realtors. Then that turned into 10, 12, then 15, then 20. And then now I'm doing these calls with like hundreds of realtors on these Zoom calls, training. And it's just that old teacher, like you're saying, Jen, like that religious professor in me, that teacher just came alive. It just completely replaced the producer in me. But then also like my dad was a coach. Like his last couple of years alive, he coached the freshman high school women's basketball team and donated his check. Didn't care about the money. He just gave back. And so it was like a mixture of those two things. I can keep my dad's legacy alive with this teaching passion just came alive. I have the resume, which I had no idea this is what the resume would put me in a position to do. Wow. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, it just took off.
Dude, God bless dads, man. And thanks so much for sharing. We could see your passion and your emotion there. And I can imagine that's a huge driver for you. So thanks so much for being vulnerable and opening up to us like that and our viewers and listeners, because it's finding that, right, and that's awesome that you're doing that in his name. And how do you incorporate it? How do you incorporate that? I'm obviously you just did just now in our show. Is that kind of like how you approach your coaching?
Yeah. So I feel like vulnerability is the greatest way to build deep relationships. Just like Jen was talking about, she feels like she knows me. Right? Mm-hmm. Because of the social media presence, it's just vulnerability. And I know so many realtors struggle with depression and anxiety and like feelings of overwhelm. I work with a ton of moms, like a lot of moms, single moms. Yeah. And that's a very prevalent feeling that they all experience. And so I know if I can pull down my walls and create that environment of trust and safety and security, they'll then drop the walls. Then with that authenticity, we can work together.
Mm.
Like without any walls, we can work together and go fix the issues. And then boom, they take off.
Wow. Very well said. And that's where I could imagine too, going deeper in the psychological side of things. It's like having them break down and take those walls and taking them down for you is the way that you can be able to be effective and be able to serve and support. Because I can imagine you probably get a lot of individuals self-sabotaging, coming from self-doubt. Maybe their thermostat's not really set to a level that they need to be set to, coming up with all these things. And I can imagine you just starting from that perspective, it helps you start to get through what they have coming up for them. Because like Alex Ramosi just did his big book launch, and congratulations to him and Layla, and then Real Broker, right? Sharon, he was on our show as well. Just now is there helping them scale to $1 billion, which is crazy, and to make 105 million in one webinar with a book is just wild. But the one thing that I can imagine, you can give someone all the things that they gave, but without you, the coach, and someone to help break down the barriers and get through where they're at mentally to like help them readjust the thermostat to be set for success is a key factor. In this segment, I want to ask you a little bit about that. Like, what comes up for you in the state of real estate and coaching these professionals from that perspective of self-limiting beliefs?
Yeah, it's probably 99% of the problem. And
Wow.
most of the time when I work with realtors, I'm not kidding, it's the limiting beliefs, it's the self-doubt, it's the lack of a vision that they're chasing. Once we fix that, the skill set of real estate is pretty easy. Go talk to people, open houses, cold call, door knock, ads, flyer, whatever you want to do. Like that's kind of a given. It's the other stuff that, man, oh man, it takes a while for people to crack that. But once they do, they take off. Like I remember the height of my door-to-door career, there was a guy, and in my opinion, he's the best pound for pound to ever knock a door. Currently, right now, he does solar and he trains solar companies. Taylor McCarthy is just incredible. I remember we were working together, and he went in a house, couldn't close the deal. And for me, it was like, what in the world? I've never seen that before. Like, you close everybody. And we talked about it for a minute, and it was family stuff. It was other issues that were just distracting the mindset, so he couldn't be as sharp in the presentation. And so when my dad was diagnosed with cancer, I added the Tony Robbins program into like one of my 3 coaches. I try to maintain 3 at all time. And so I removed one and added the Tony Robbins platform in there. And obviously they're always about state, right? Attention goes where energy flows, or energy flows where attention goes. And so then I realized, by training realtors to first put attention on that, address your state, your emotional regulation, the other stuff is so easy to address. But just that lack of, like, I don't feel like it today, or I'm distracted, or my family's blowing me up. Like I've got one guy I'm working with right now in California. He was so inconsistent, but he had the skill set. Once we addressed that, once he realized how to regulate his emotions from bombs that would go off with his family, like the big emotional setbacks, he then learned how to regulate and bounce back quicker. Now can be more consistent and is now closing more deals because of it. So in my opinion, from what I've seen, it's the issue to fix.
Wow.
I want to know, since you specialize like in the door knocking, how do you, because obviously I'm a newer agent. I'm an agent here as well in Arizona. I'm just not in the market right now because I'm like full-time with Liftoff right now. And I'm learning so much with Liftoff as it is because I get to be with like so many agents. I can just be like, ask you questions. Like, what do you think about this? What systems do you have here? Like, I feel like I got the best side of the
Cheat code.
whole package.
Chico.
Right. I want to know, since you're doing like the old school of door knocking, how do you integrate like some of this new way with like technology? Is there like certain technology you live like die hard by, or is it just like hey, look, I'm just gonna kind of test and trial this out? Like, how does that work in your world?
Yeah. So first of all, I love you guys because I'm not a technology guy. I am a door-to-door person, face-to-face. So that's kind of why I love teaching is because that's what it is. And I remember when I wasn't selling in the alarm space back in the day, I remembered what clicked for me was, it's a teaching classroom. It's just at their doorstep. When I made that click, that's when I took off. So for me, technology has never been a thing, but recently it's wild how much easier it makes. It doesn't take away, you have to drive to the area, get out of the car, knock the doors, deal with rejection. You still have to do that. But the efficiency of it mixed with technology is incredible. Like now,
Mm.
I mean, I used to go to an area with a map from the gas station and like look at the addresses and look up and circle everything. And like, that's seriously how I would organize my area. Whereas now there's software where you can go in, highlight the entire area. It'll populate all the houses, tell you who's the homeowner is, how much potential equity they have when they bought the house, potential credit score, email, where they work, like this whole thing. So when I knock on the door, I know who's going to open it. So if it's a driver personality because they're like military based or they're analytical because they're an accountant, I already know that. And so I can already adjust my pitch before I even knock on the door. So that makes it so much easier. But then also organizing yourself within the neighborhood because you can track the homes. Now I can have like not interested, just sold, referral client. And then when I come back in 3 months, it's all still there. So I don't have to rely on my memory like I used to. So it just makes it more doable for the average realtor to go out there and succeed door knocking. Whereas before it
Wow.
was so hard because you had to do all this up here, whereas now you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. That's amazing. And just to add to that, I can imagine too with the power of loom.com, videos that could be recorded, QR codes, landing pages, you literally could easily just like send them a personalized Loom video. It'd be cool. It'd be kind of hard. I don't know if you had a printer on hand. You could like print out the door hanger with the QR code
Yep.
made after you film the Loom video. Like, hey, so I'm at your door right now. Just wanted to say hi. This is who I
Yeah.
am, and this is what I'm about. And sorry I
Well,
missed
what's
you.
crazy is you even add geofencing in there. You can run an ad or you can have your card geofenced into the area. So when people pull up their phones, they're automatically getting that text or they're following you on Instagram because you're running an ad through Instagram. So there are things like that that you can run. Like if I have an open house or if I have a listing, I'm going to do that with a mile radius, run an ad like, hey, it's Jeremy, your local realtor. I'm working with one of your families here in the area. If you see me knock your door, blah, blah, run the ad. And so it's like now you can use that technology. And then on the follow-up side, I think it's called RepCard is the software that I use where you can digitally send them your business card and then it just automates a drip system and it tells you when they open it. So it'll say, hey, Jeffrey and Jennifer just opened up your video, your Loom video. And so then I'll call them and they're like, oh, I was just thinking about you. Oh, what a coincidence. Whereas in reality, you have all this software working at your advantage. And so that's what I'm talking about, the efficiency. Technology makes it a lot more doable for the average realtor to go succeed because all this is running in the background.
Wow. No excuses out there, y'all.
None.
And if you have excuses, you hire the man.
But it doesn't take away the rejection. So what's crazy is even though it's that easy, even though it's that doable, you still have to be okay with rejection. You still have to be okay with people chasing you down the street. You still got to be okay with like the cops calling. You still got to be okay with HOA people mad that you're knocking their neighborhood. That will never go away.
Does your heart, like, like the first time you get on stage or the first door you knocked, right? Your heart's racing and you're just like, oh my God, like, is it any easier now after 15 years to knock that door and to face the music, good or bad? Or do you still get the same butterflies?
So if anyone says that it gets easier, they're full of it and they have not knocked. They're lying to you because it never gets easier. Like I just flew out to Seattle, did a seminar there. And part of the seminar is I have realtors come knock with me. So I had about 20 realtors knocking on a door for about an hour or two. And you still get those jitters where you're in the car and you're like, am I washed up? I've never knocked in Seattle. I don't know this market. What if I look bad in front of these realtors? Like you still have those. The difference is you are better trained to turn that off. You turn it off quick, and then you have like a positive affirmation routine to replace it, and you move. And so you still have those. You still have the jitters, but you're just better equipped to handle them.
And you got a responsibility, man. You got 20 people being like, hey, Jeremy, what's going on? What are we doing here?
Everybody always opens the door, and they're like, what in the world? And it's like, you won the lottery. And then that breaks the ice, the preoccupation, and then you go into the pitch. But it's pretty fun.
What happens when someone wants to actually like list their home? How do you pick one of the 20?
Usually it's like whoever put on the seminar, all the leads go to them. So for example, I've got 2 realtors I'm working with. They run Seattle. And so they got all the leads. We gave out their business cards. I just knocked with a realtor near my local market, and we knocked for 45 minutes. We picked up a listing and a buy. They'll sell and buy with him. And then a buyer that's a $900,000 price point. I just gave it to him because
Wow.
it was him that I was training, him that I was working with. So it's like, dude, whatever I get from this is yours.
Wow.
That
Dude,
is awesome.
kudos.
That
That's
was kind of
awesome.
fun. It doesn't happen that often where it's 45 minutes and you get that bang for a buck. It's probably like every 10th day or 15th day that happens. So the fact that it happened was awesome. Excited for him.
I love that. I love that. Speaking of technology, I want to go a little deeper into that. So what do you do? So you do the door knocking, you go through that whole process. What do you do to keep in contact, keep up with the individuals that maybe you met who they're 3 to 6 months out, or maybe now they sold with you, and so now it's done, and so now they're just going to be in what system? What do you do? How do you keep top of mind? Do you follow them on social media? They follow you on social media? Is it email drip systems? Like, how do you keep top of mind?
Yeah, great question. So again, like in the door-to-door space, how it works is you sell them. It's an emotional sell, an alarm. They buy right then or they don't buy. And so there was no stop backs appointments. It's not part of the culture. You give them the best deal, you do your best, first pitch, you never come back. It's almost like
Hmm.
you're dead to me. I literally forget about you. I'm on to the next house. I'll sell your neighbor. So when I got into real estate, I remember follow up was really weird and strange and a weird idea for me. I was like, well, they told me no. And like coaches would be like, yeah, but they're a month out. Yeah, but they told me
Mm-hmm.
no. I'm just going to forget about them. They'll reach out if they
Mm-hmm.
want to. And so I had to learn how to do follow up. And I remember when people would say nurture, cold, warm, all that, it
Yeah.
just didn't make sense to me. So for me, it was I want to know their timeline and motivation. And I'm going to categorize everybody off of that. So if they're high motivation, high timeline, under 45 days, then they need to be top of mind, or I need to be top of mind. So I'm going to follow up every other day, text message, Loom video, bomb, whatever. If they're longer than that, like 3, 4 months out, then I'm going to follow up once a week. They don't need that much follow up with me, just once a week to stay in top of mind. If they're 6 months out, 8 months out, I'll call them once a month. I don't need to do more than that. If they're 1 to 2 years out, once a month, I can have a VA send them an email. I don't need to do that. I can automate that process. If they're longer than that, I'm not in the data collection business. They're not going into my CRM. If they're ready, follow me on social media. You'll reach out when you're ready. I remember I had a Steve Powers as a coach. He's coaching a bunch of us at the same time in the local market. And I remember him saying that, like anyone longer than 2 years, don't put them in there. So anyways, how I train and how I do my follow-up process is literally just pick your CRM, doesn't matter, but do it off timeline and motivation so you know who to give your time to.
Mm, very interesting. And when you go through the touch program, if they are sooner than later, 3 to 4 months, and do you tie in with the social media play? Like if they have social media, do you like stories or comment or, stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's something new for me. I've only had my local St. George market real estate page for maybe a year and a half. The first
Mm-hmm.
year I launched it and started doing reels and stories and ads. I closed 13 local deals off that social media page, which was really cool. I hired
Wow.
6 coaches. I went all in to figure out how to do it, really to help like the Davis sales training platform. But I also wanted to give it a shot like in the local market, see if it worked. And anyways, I remember growing that page. And then I started to work with Paige Steckling, who's in Utah, probably one of the best listing agent social media presences out there. And she was
Mm.
like, yeah, usually I just give out my page and then they'll follow me. And because I post so often, it's better than a door hanger. And I remember when I heard that for the first time, I was like, that is genius. And so now when I'm at the doors, I always have them follow me. Whatever category they're in, like that A, B, C, D, E, doesn't matter. Like, cool. Like, let me send you my card and my Instagram. I post a ton about local events. Give me a follow. Because then I can kind of keep it in
Mm.
the loop and they're top of mind more often.
Interesting. Yeah, we're seeing a lot more agents now. This is for a different type of show with someone who does the YouTube thing, but you're seeing a lot of agents now on YouTube, passively prospecting, building
Yeah.
parasocial relationships, and
Yep.
talking about the schools and the restaurants and all the things for evergreen purposes to market to their past clients and database on email marketing campaigns and to pick up a lot of business. We're seeing this all across the country. The sponsor of the show, Liftoff Agent, has a lot of referral partners in that space. And it's powerful stuff, man. It's
Yeah.
amazing what you could do now with technology. Because like my wife and I moved from California, Central Phoenix. I bought this house sight unseen. The agent was just referred to me, and I didn't really know him that well, but we ended up making the move because I watched some guy on YouTube who wasn't even an agent who showed me all these different areas to
I love that.
potentially see where I wanted to move.
That's awesome. And it makes sense, right? Like if people's attention is on those devices and they're on it within 15 minutes of waking up, if they literally fall asleep to it, if they're on there, I think there was one study that most people touch their phone 300 times a day. It's like if they're on there,
Don't
that's
remind
where
me.
their attention is, then put your face in front of them. And for
Mhm.
most of my career, that did not click in my head until
Hmm.
recently. And now it's like I'm all in on it. And so it makes sense for me. Like I want something to be in front of them. I always tell people it's like if you went fishing and you're fishing on the other side of the boat, but the fish are on the other side, and it's literally a green arrow saying the fish are right here, but you've got your rod and your line on the other side. It's like put your line where the fish are, and if they're on social media, then get on there. And so it's been fun for me because that's so fresh this last year and a half to comprehend, and then also just keep getting better at.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Do you only
Love
do
that.
Instagram, or do you like, are you playing around with YouTube as well?
So I have like my big Davis Sales Training YouTube platform for the coaching platform. I've gone back and forth on the local market because nobody's doing it. And I know if I did it, it would provide business for me for the rest of my life. I just have so much past repeat and referral business as it is that I
Mm-hmm.
don't need that. But I also, just who I am, play around with the idea just to prove a point that
Yeah.
I could go in, I could film it. I just know how much time it requires. And so I'm always like, if I'm going to do it, I'm doing it for the next 10 years. And I'll just outlast people through consistency. So that's why I'm always a little bit hesitant at the beginning, because when I make the decision, I'm sticking with it until the end of time. But it's pretty crazy. I think it was, you guys would know, I think it was now Bam. Is that their page? No
Yeah.
Bam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
Yeah.
yeah.
they
Bam now.
recently,
I think.
I don't know how to pronounce it. That's why I knock doors for a living. But anyways, they posted something recently that was saying that 2% of realtors are on YouTube. So you think it's a lot, but it's not really. Like I've got a couple of realtors that I coach and I'm pushing people to get on YouTube, and we'll do like a audit of the city, and we'll go look like in Kansas City, and you'll realize there's only 3 agents that are consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I have to compete with 3 versus 10,000 on Instagram. I'm going over there, right?
Dude, 100%.
Really,
And frame of reference, if there's hypothetically speaking, some have gone and come 15,000 or 15 million real estate professionals, it's 30,000 across the country. And that represents 3 in your market. There's a lot to be said with that. And that's where I feel like, the YouTube thing could be very, very fruitful from the perspective of
yep.
maps and guides and intake forms, other things you could do to drive them down a rabbit hole. And the thing is, too, I feel like as you have more success, then you have leverage of other people's time to be able to do other things like explore YouTube. But yeah, definitely. And it's funny because you see a lot of top performers and you're like, how do they do all the things? Well, like Alex Ramosi has a pretty large team. Okay. Like he's not doing every single little piece of the pie, but
Yeah.
people think that's what it is. And that's what was my problem when I first got into business for myself, is trying to do too many things before I caught traction on one thing to have enough success to like have leverage to then explore other things. So,
Well, and that's the mindset, right? So if I were to add that local YouTube channel, my thought process wouldn't be, what do I have to do? It would be, I have to hire a team, videographers, editors. I have to add it to my schedule. I've got to review those. I've got to do content days. Like I'm looking at how to build that part of it, and then if
mm-hmm,
I'm okay with it, then I'll run. It's not necessarily like
mm-hmm,
I need to do it. It's I need to build a team for that, and it's the same thing where Mosey and Gary Vee and all of them do that. Dan
yeah,
Martell's a great example of that. He's got this massive team spending thousands of dollars per video to push out there. But it's not him;
yeah,
it's his team, it's his organization he's built.
yeah, 100%. And shameless plug to Lift Off. That's that's the team that does all that. So
That's
just
right.
put it out there.
Not
I love that. I love that.
So, my question is, have you ever had a real estate agent? I know it kind of goes back into mindset. Have you ever had a real estate agent where you're like, just do it. Just do it. Like, I know it's going to work, but they're like so scared or so nervous that they don't even want to like take that one step forward. And then like how do you help them break past that?
Yep, that's a great question, and the answer is yes, all the time. A lot of people overcomplicate what they're trying to do And instead, they need to focus on what are my daily targets, my non-negotiables that will get me there. It's like, here's the puzzle. Let me break apart the pieces, and then that's all I need to do. And so sometimes, most of the time, like with realtors, that's pretty much the whole focus and working with them is what's the end goal? Let's break that down as simple as we can. And what are you needing to do today, tomorrow, by the end of the week? And then forget about everything else and go all in on this. Sometimes we have so much anxiety and spinning through our head of how complicated this is and all this stuff. But if you were just to pause for a minute, and I always tell people, like, go to the sauna and do this, go on a walk and do this, but go where you can just think about your thoughts and then write them down. You'll probably realize that most of the time it's like 3 things you're worried about. That's it. It's nothing else. And so once you clear the smoke and you get the 3 things, then we only have to do 2 or 3 more things to fix that, to then get my goal. Okay, now we're good to go. So there's lots of realtors I work with where that's their issue. I had one guy in Alabama. He's currently I think in the top 3 off of production and volume on the real estate side. But when he came to me, when he started working with me one-on-one, he had gone through 4 programs and he could not make the switch from being a part-time firefighter, part-time realtor. One of the nicest guys, most genuine humans you'll ever meet. And he just couldn't do it. And so literally it took maybe 30 days to figure out, well, why do you want to make this switch? What are you trying to accomplish? And then what would it require to make the switch? Financially, what habits would you have to change? What schedule would you have to pivot and adjust to? And then once we broke it down so simple, then he was able to hit those targets consistently day by day. And then all of a sudden, 4 months later, he finally made the switch. He left the firefighter department, went full time, and now he's just absolutely crushing it.
Wow. Dude,
That's
congratulations. It reminds me of The Compound Effect, a great book where it's like you just focus on the little tiny wins that compound to the bigger wins. Before you know, you look back and it's almost like you forget because you're like, oh my God, is that the team? Is that how many people I'm serving? Like you almost like forget, and other people are like, congratulations, you're doing so well. You're like, oh yeah, I am doing so well.
Yeah.
awesome.
It's funny. A lot of people that like will listen to me talk about these stories. A lot of them can pinpoint who trained me. Like, where did that idea come from? And Darren Hardy is has had a massive impact on me parasocially and in person.
Wow.
Because I talk about that all the time. The idea of momentum, and most realtors, that's what they need. You don't need anything complicated. You need the power of Big Mo. You need momentum on your side. Because once things are rolling, it's like once you push a boulder up the hill, flick it, and then it goes down the hill. Your business is so easy at that point, but you have to get it up there, and that's where we got to focus.
Wow.
That is awesome. Let me put myself in the shoes here. So I'm a newer agent, or I consider myself a newer agent. I'm technically not newer. I've had my license for about 3-4 years now. I just don't do a lot of transaction. Last year I've only done 2 transaction, but like, which is like for an agent, like what? Only 2?
That's better than 74% of the industry last year.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
crushing.
And,
teaching.
And at the same time, I was still teaching full time math.
Yeah.
Like
awesome.
Full time teaching in math. Like I'm like, holy crap, how did I do that? I don't honestly, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I do know. I just need to like sit my thoughts and figure it out. But let's say that I was newer and I didn't have no transaction at all. If you were to be my mentor, and which way would you try to help me navigate? Would you try to help me navigate like towards the old school of real estate, doing like the door knocking, the open house, like that route, or would you do like, hey, look, let's go on social media kind of a deal? Like, how would you like help navigate a newer agent in that?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I work with a ton of newer agents, even on the coaching side, or if someone joins me on the brokerage side on the team, I put them through 10 days of onboarding. And this is exactly what I do. So in those 10 days, I have you go and build out an audit. What's worked and not worked the past 4 years? Like, let's first look at the map. Let's get a bird's eye perspective on, like, what do you like about the industry? Where have your deals come from? How much money have you made? Like, let's get a good view of your business, because then we'll know like what pieces to add and take away. So let's do that first. After you do that, let's go build the vision. Why do you want to do this industry? Or why do you want to be in this industry? What are you trying to build?
Yeah.
What would change if you made $500,000 a year? What type of lifestyle? I usually put people through like a lot of thought exercises that come from Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, like the example of the funeral activity. Like, you show up to a funeral, everyone's dressed in black. You go through the line and then you look in the casket and it's yourself. Who
Mm-hmm.
would you have talk? What would they say? What would you want them to say or not say? And that kind of gets people thinking, that's the type of life I want. And then we have you go through your value system. Like, what's important to you? For me, it's always God, myself, spouse, kids, community, and then work. And I take pride that I outwork a lot of people, but that's at the bottom for me. So what are your values? Like, let's get a good picture of that first. And then once we do that, let's break it apart. So let's say everything on your vision board and the type of life you wanted was you needed 500 grand. Okay. So how many deals would that be? How many transactions per commission would you need to hit to get that? Let's say it's 50 deals at a $10,000 commission. Great. The next question is, do you want to go fast? Do you want to go Alex or Mosey style and blitz that in 1 year? Or do you want to drag it out over 3 or 4 or 5? Because that's going to tell you how many deals you're trying to hit per year. Then once we do that, now the question becomes, how do you want to do it? Right? Everyone's biggest issue is exposure, like Ramosi talks about. When you wake up, you have to go from no one knows you, I need people to know me. Well, how do you do that? Open houses, door knock, social media, YouTube, ads, cold calling, whatever. Which one calls to you? Which one do you think you can be consistent at? Because again, consistency is king. If you hate social media and I force you down that route, you're not going to do it. If you hate door knocking and it gives you just anxiety out the roof, you're not going to do it. So consistencies matter, right? It doesn't matter which route you go. There are people crushing it in all sorts of different methods right now. So pick 4. In my opinion, when I build out a business plan, you got to pick 4 because you just don't know which one's going to take off. Social media branding takes a long time. Door knocking is a quicker result, cold calling, etc. But I'm a big believer that 75% of your business has to come from an outbound prospect. You have to aggressively go get your business. And then you need to have like these little pebbles in the pond, little tiny things that if you do compound it over time, you'll get business from, right? And that's usually social media, YouTube, etc. Then once we do that, we build your schedule. Then once your schedule's intact, you know exactly what you need to do, then it's accountability. That's it. It's what rewards do you want? Are you more motivated by the fire that's chasing you? Do you want to chase the cheese in front of you? Do you need an accountability partner? I feel like a lot of real estate coaches, they hit you there first. Like, let's get you an accountability partner. It's like, but they're not going to be consistent because they don't know why they're doing this. They don't have a clear plan. A confused mind will always say no. That's why they're not prospecting. And so you miss all these steps before that. So that's a lot, but that's usually what I push people through in 10 days.
Wow.
That's a lot. That's intense.
That's phenomenal. It gave me some things to think about personally, just how I'm showing up as a leader. If anyone is viewing and listening, you know, how you're showing up as a leader, and how to navigate the process of being able to show up in a way that can really give that person the success that they wish to achieve. And so what do you do, Jeremy, when, like, the next step to the question? So what happens when you find, so if you are more specialized in the door knocking side, would you still coach them on the social side or YouTube and that type of stuff? Or do you have like referral partners or a network? How do you navigate that?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so I'm fairly good at a couple of things, but I know that I'm not the best or an expert. So on the brokerage side, on the team and the brokerage I'm at, I strategically partnered with people that are closing 60 deals a year off YouTube. It's taken them 7 years to get there, but they're doing it. Or social media queens like Tessa Bella out in Arizona, or Kara and Paige, who I'm working with, that are teaching me a ton on social media in exchange for me teaching them on sales performance and business structure. And then I have Cassidy McWhirter, who's out in Florida. She's hundreds of thousands of followers over her career. And so I strategically position with those to help agents that want to specialize in that. And then also with cold calling, I went out and found a cold caller that could come into the business and would provide that for everybody else. But then door knocking, no one will just ever take that from me. And so that's always my expertise with the business strategy. But at the same time, I know I'm not the best. My job as your coach or mentor or team lead is to go find the best and position you together. That's, in my opinion, what a coach does is, let me put you in an environment that'll help you personally become a better person and then also have your business take off.
Dude, mic drop, lift off moment there. That was sick. I gotta say, hats off to you, man. I gotta stroke your ego here for a second. Like, I like the fact that you take the approach of, going holistic, relationship first, build the
Mhm.
relationships, build the foundation, understand the ideologies, have the onboarding process, and then you pull the levers that need to be pulled with the strategic partners that you have to then give them who they need to be working with, which is huge. And I think that the next big step too is you get a lot of coaches that offer like the tactical, practical action steps, and then what happens is like, this is what I've done with the YouTube process, but it's different for everyone. Or this is what I've done with the social media process, but it's a little different for everyone. And if it's not, someone in your court who's not just a coach, but also can actually do the work for the person, because I feel like there is something to be said about leverage, and not everyone is going to be able to film themselves and edit and put out the content, or do the social filming and do the editing. And, it's a lot, and so that's where I feel like having a blend of partners that also can do the things as well behind the scenes, outside of just like, hey, this is what you need to do. Because right, we all get to a point where it's like, all right, now we need leverage. Like we need other people to help.
Right. And again, that's in my opinion a coach's job. Let me put you in a position to win. And that's it. Let me put you in a position to
Wow.
win. I'm going to build your plan, build your business plan. We're going to build that together. I can't take away the work ethic. I remember, if you guys know Erwin McManus, the philosopher, he wrote a book
Sounds familiar.
recently called Seven Frequencies of Communication. Anyways, I saw him at a seminar in January, bought his book, started following him. He talks about, he's got a famous quote that I can bring you the opportunity, I can't bring you the determination. And so for me, it's the same thing. It's like, I can put the opportunity in front of you. I can bring all these partners, help you build your business plan. I'll strip any excuse away from you, but I can't go do it for you. Now, for me, what I pride myself in being a little different is I will fly out and knock with you. And I've done that now in 15 states in the last year-ish. I've gone to Orlando, Arizona. I did 5 cities in 5 days a couple months back. And so I will literally come out there and show you how to do this.
Mhm.
But then I'm going to leave at some point. And for me, when I then leave, it's kind of like when you have kids. When they leave, you hope that you taught them the right principles to govern their life. And so for me, it's the same thing. I need to teach them the principles. So if we ever part ways at any time, then they know how to go and succeed. And for me, that's a coach's main priority and main job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I was telling Norman beforehand, is that like one thing that I like that you do is like you actually model it for realtors, and you're like, let me show you how to do it. It's just like not it's not like a, let me tell you how to do it and then
Yeah,
you go do it yourself. It's like, let me
yeah,
model it. And I
yeah,
think that kind of goes back to like the whole philosophy of like teaching. Like when you're teaching like kids, it's like, hey, let me show you how to do this, and then you're going to do another one, and then I'm going to start challenging you of where you're going to end up doing it yourself, kind of a deal.
yeah. And to me, like, one of my biggest mentors, and it's kind of weird to think of him as a mentor, but is Christ. And when you look in the New
Mm.
Testament, he constantly said, come and see, come and see, like, come follow me and I'll show you how to become a fisher of men. And so for me,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of like my leadership philosophy is like, don't just listen to me. Come and see. I'll show you how to do this, because
Mm.
I didn't have a viral video that went off, and that's why I have 10,000 followers. I didn't like randomly get handed 20 years of business and I just took over someone's empire. Like, I had to go grow it. And so because I did that, I know the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps for you to go do that. I feel like a lot of people in like the coaching platforms across the industry, they suffer from what's called the curse of knowledge. It's a psychology
Mm.
principle where the more knowledge you acquire, the longer you've been in it, it becomes a curse, because you forget what it's like to start. You forget the anxiety to get out of your car and go knock, the fears that like your skin's going to shake. You forget all that. And so it's
Mm.
hard to teach it. And so you're trying to teach up here, but someone's down here, and no wonder they can't launch, because these principles they won't understand until you get them out of this phase. So that's kind of been like my
Wow.
philosophy, like you were saying, Jen, is come and see, because I'm still actively doing this
Yeah.
on purpose.
The, the
Yeah.
weird part the weird part is like my grandma.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from the reservation. Like I don't know if you know that, but because
Yeah,
I'm Native American.
I love that.
But my grandma, she never knew one English, no, except for the bad words. But
Of
she
course.
like
That's
no
all of
English,
us.
never went to school, never sat in a school, like nothing at all. And she would literally always say that to us. She would always say, "Yeah, go to school, go get whatever you need, go learn whatever you need." It's like, but don't ever learn so much that you can't go and give back, or don't ever
Mm,
learn. Well, she says it more in a mean way though, sometimes, because natives are just sometimes really mean and very harsh. And she'll
Yep.
be like, "Don't learn so much, don't get so much knowledge to the point where you basically become dumb again."
100%.
I
100%. And
love that.
that's, to be honest, that's why I'll always have an active license. That's why I'll always keep trying to do business. That's why I'll always go and knock with people. Like, I understand that that freshness of doing that
Mm-hmm.
skill is so vital to a coach, because if a coach is telling you just to do it, like if you're not prospecting, they're saying just do it. Well, that mindset is someone that produces up here. To them, just do it makes sense. But you forget down here, you had to learn how to box breathe, calm down your emotions. You had to learn to watch uh, motivational videos, have a list of affirmations. Like when I got into sales, my wife came up with this, but I literally had to have a timer that would go off every hour on the hour because I was so like anxious. I left 2 teaching careers to go into sales, and I wasn't selling. So every hour my alarm would go off. I'd read out my fears, read out my affirmations, eat a haichu, a piece of candy, and then pray. And I would go again, and I would go again. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't forget that because it's still so fresh. And I understand I have to keep that, because most of the people I coach, a lot of them, this is their issue. That's why 74% are selling real estate. And why? It's because that beginner phase
Yeah.
isn't taught really well, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
love that.
that's honestly one of my reasons why I never gone back and got my master, because I was like,
Oh, really?
yeah, like I'm just gonna completely switch careers. Then it's like,
Yep.
if I can't go back and get my master's, like let me go try real estate. So that
I love it.
I love that. And I want to remind our viewers and listeners and just take a second to, when you're going through the process, to just reflect here. When you're going through the process and you're going to hire a coach, and we're not going to like say any names, and there's some coaches out there that aren't preaching what they sow. And I think it's so important to find someone who is in the trenches. And I have to say hats off to you, Jeremy, for going through that process and doing what you're doing, to go knock on the doors and keep leading by example and finding the referral partners that do the things that you know your coaching clients have aspirations to do or to achieve. And that's where I feel like even our sponsors of the show, we always take pride in the fact that, like, hey, it's the people who are on the front line that understand what's going on day in and day out that have the advice to help the company flourish. It is not the executives. It is not the CEO. They know nothing. They're at the point now where they're like, I'm not saying they're all sipping Mai Tais, whatever on the beach, but some are, some aren't, some are still in the trenches. And so that's where, it's amazing to take a second to humble yourself and to go back to that starting point. And there was someone that I forgot who it was. It was a tech CEO, sold a company for $200-300 million in a book that I was reading. And he went all the way down to like working at a pie shop. And I forgot exactly the book. He was like working at a pie shop and just wanted to just get out of that level to just get to the grassroots again and understand what it looked like. And he had an opportunity to be like a cash register, but he didn't want to be a cashier because he wanted to learn like pies and the recipes and whatever else. I forgot exactly what book it was. If it comes to me by the end of the show, I'll remind everyone. But it's so important to humble yourself and remember where you came from, and not to be too big for your britches, huh?
You guys remember the show Undercover Boss?
yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah,
love that show.
so good. But it's the same principle, right? It's like the best CEOs, the best owners are the ones that are okay to go mop floors. And they ask that employee, how can I make your life easier? And they do it with them, and they realize, oh, I could do this and I could change this. And so for me, like usually the best leaders, like you're saying, they're the ones in the trenches because they want to know how to make those guys' lives easier. And then the next one, let's go shadow you and let's pick your brain. How can I make that job easier? And let me sit in with you. Those hands-on leaders, I feel like I've been really blessed in my professional career to be around those types of leaders. So now that
Wow.
the tides have turned, it's like that's the type of leader that speaks to me. Is let me come and work with you, and let's do this together. Let's go on the front lines. Let's fall on the sword together, because then it gives me a better perspective of how to help you.
Yeah. There's no separation. No one's better than anyone because of money or this or that, and it's an even playing field.
Yeah. 100% well said.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's really awesome. It's just for me it's just really weird because it's like every just a little bit about me. It's like I grew up with no running water, no
Mm.
electricity, no indoor plumbing. Like when you think of like poor, think of like dirt poor. I literally grew up in the dirt. So and it's just really cool. It's because it's like all the philosophy that my parents and my grandparents have like taught me when I was a kid. It's like now coming back full circle with you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's why my grandparents said that. And my grandparents, they don't know no English at all. Like they don't know how to speak it. Like I said, only the bad words is like. I mean, my grandfather for some odd for whatever reason he like went to Vietnam. He's a Vietnam veteran and like
Oh, wow.
survived all of that with no English and still came home. So it's really strange, and it's just like how did my grandparents know or like predict that this was going to come like full circle for me, kind of a moment. And it's
That's
just
cool.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
yeah, and
Very,
like
very
and they're
wise.
yeah, and they're not. My grandma passed away like 5 years ago. I was like, my grandpa's still here. It's like, but it's just
Mm.
strange for me. I was like, this is
Yeah.
awesome. It's like
Yeah.
almost like I was meant to hear it again, but from a different perspective.
Right.
So,
How similar things can be, whether you're in the dirt or in a mansion. It doesn't make a difference. It's all relatable, something like that. Yeah, that's awesome,
Relative.
man. That's awesome. Yeah, relative. There you go. I was like looking for the word. I'm like, my wife always helps me out with that because I'm like, she's like, what'd you say? I don't know. It's a normism.
Yeah.
quick question for you: what would be one of your biggest advice you would give to a realtor like that is just struggling right now? Because obviously they say like this market is very tough. I personally am like, well, it really think you really have to think about like what your views are on it. So,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them?
That's a great question. I would say do all you can to go and shadow someone who is crushing it. Spend a day with them. Like pay for their breakfast, pay for their lunch, go see how they think. Just watch them. And I feel like that synergy, it's contagious,
Mm-hmm.
and that will rub off. You'll realize, oh, it's because I'm not reading the books. Oh, it's because they have podcasts on and I'm not doing that. And you pick up like the little things that they're doing. That 24 hours will pay you back so much. I tell people all the time, like, go fly across the country. You want to come learn how to door knock? Come to my market. I'll show you. You want me to go to your market? I'll come show you. But it's more important that you come show me because it's part of an investment. You paid for the flight. You paid for the time commitment to come out. But like, I think people underestimate mentors. They can save you 20 years of errors that you're going to make. And sometimes it's just you're in the wrong environment, right? Like we see this in athletics all the time. Like some teams are just their organization is better. You see a bad player go to a good team and they perform better. Like you guys remember Iguodala in the NBA? Like he was like an okay, good player. Like he's pretty good, but he then came to the Warriors, won all those rings with them, and he became a Hall of Famer. No one will ever forget. He just changed the environment. So the same thing with like if you're struggling, go hang out with the top producer, take them to lunch, like ride in their car. I'm telling you, the right ones will love it and they won't
Mm-hmm.
care. Yeah, come shadow me. Yeah, come sit in the car. Go on the appointments with me. They won't care. The right ones. And so, like, go put yourself around them because the market is booming. I've got a realtor in Arizona right now that I'm working with. He's got 900 contract. Just closed four, multiple deals coming. He's completely blowing up. That Arizona team with Paige and Kara, they've got like 14 active listings.
Yeah.
And so people are doing business. It's just you're probably listening to the wrong radio, not reading the right books. A lot of your friends you probably need to get rid of. And it's just the environment. So fix that. That would be my big advice. Fix your environment and go shadow a top producer. Your life will change forever because of that. And get a therapist. I got to plug that in there. Get a therapist. Have someone that you can regulate your emotions with because this job is wild. So you need
Mm-hmm.
to have something to go regulate your emotions. That's probably why you're not producing as well. It's because the stress, you just can't manage it. It's overwhelming. So I always tell people go get a counselor or a therapist. Meet with them once a month. It'll change your life.
That
Wow.
is actually very true.
but very well said. And I can't believe we're already now an hour into our
I
show.
saw that. I was like, holy smokes.
Yeah.
Go for another
Speaking of
hour.
September, when you come back out, we'll have to get you on the in-person podcast episode. Real estate, we have the liftoff experience. There's Julius having his nap time.
Yeah, there's a big event on the 24th. Can't remember who's putting it on, but Tess is going to be there. I'm flying out. We got a Paige Deckling's going, so I'll be there that week. If you guys are open, I'll hit you up.
Yeah, we'll send you over a link so you could schedule, Jen,
Yeah.
if you wanted to send over the liftoff experience. It's 2 hours long, kind of like a Joe Rogan experience. It's the evolution of this podcast, and it's a personal, professional, and spiritual. When did you have liftoff? And so I'm playing with the personal development as I'm Mr. Liftoff. I have it tatted on my arm and going into a direction as we grow liftoff, and I have that leverage there. Then we can have some fun with some other stuff, and who knows?
Love it.
Maybe Jen will take over this. I don't know. But as we close up our show, we want to leave one last thought, golden nugget, book, something to stay tuned for. What would you like our viewers and listeners to take from our show as we put a bow on the end?
Yeah, I would say last thought is success leaves clues. So go read more. The average American reads less than one book. The average CEO reads 55 books a year. The only difference is access to information, and then you internalize it and then you apply it. So just go read more. Last year I read 144 books, completely changed my personal and professional life and all my relationships, just simply because I found the answers that experts took 20 years to find. They put it in a book, and I read it in less than a day. So go read more.
Wow. That's awesome, man. Jeremy, thanks so much for your time today, being on the show, Real Estate versus Technology. You're amazing. You're a real one.
Guys.
Jen, thanks so much for making this happen. You're amazing. And of course, couldn't be doing what we're doing without our community. So thanks so much for our viewers and listeners for watching our podcast episode today. Please like, subscribe, notification bell. Shout out to Liftoff Agent, who's our sponsor. And it is our intention for you to take things from our episodes to apply to your business, have more massive success. And we'll see you all on the next one.